When you've taken the time to learn photography and you're familiar with all of its concepts, when you've practiced all of the photo techniques that the camera can do and you're able to perform them at any given moment, when you know how to use the camera and you're not intimidated by its capabilities, you start to come at photography from a whole different angle. You look at the world of photography from a different perspective than when you're first starting out. You do not have to be told what to do. You do not have to be shown what's photogenic. You already see it and you know how to capture it. You know where and when to go to get the best picture. You know how to set up the camera and accomplish what you need. You are in a state of ready. It is from this perspective that I share with you a concept that I use and developed. I call it stacking. What I do is this. I take all of my photography knowledge, I take all of my abilities of how to use the camera, I take all of my equipment, tripods, flashes, trigger locks, etc. I take all of my experience of being able to take creative photos, I take all of my knowledge and experience of art, and I throw them into a mental tool belt into my mind. To me, creative principles of art are equally important as aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Clouds, lights, and seasons are just as important as tripods, cameras, flashes, and lenses. I see each setting, technique, and aspect as a tool. What I do is just use the right tool for the right job. Thus, the tool belt analogy. Just like in construction, when you wear a tool belt, so you have all the tools with you to do your job, and all you have to do is pull out the right tool when you need it, photography is like that. Everything you know, your equipment, and all your experience are like tools. Some of the tools are with you in hardware form. Others are tucked away in your mind that can be accessed whenever you need them. What I do is just pull out the right tool for the job when I need it. The reason I call it stacking has to do with the simple fact that all of these ideas can be stacked. You can use more than one tool and idea at the same time. Let me explain this by showing you an example. Let's bring up a nice picture here. After you get done saying, wow, a nice picture, if we sit down and analyze it, you start to realize how much thought, techniques are being used in each photo that a photographer takes. In this photo, I'm pulling out many tools to take this picture. I'm using a tripod because it's dark and I need long exposures. I'm using a large aperture so that I can let the most amount of light into my camera. I am very deliberate about what shutter speed I'm using. If I use too long of a shutter speed, the fireworks become one big ball of light. If I make the shutter speed too fast, I don't get any light trails. On an artistic level, I'm using the rule of thirds. I'm also using the rule of red. I am manipulating the viewer by having the people look straight at my subject. I'm also using negative space to my advantage. I use it to highlight my subject even further. So right off the bat, I'm using 10 techniques or camera settings to get the picture that I was after. I call that stacking. Let me show you one more picture to make sure you get the concept. This time, it's a daytime picture. With every picture, the rules and the tools change. It depends upon what the desired result of the photo is. In this picture, aperture is the most important setting. I want sharp focus all through the picture. Because I'm close to the flowers, but I still want everything in sharp focus, I'm using f/22 for an aperture setting. Shutter speed is irrelevant because only thing moving in the picture is the clouds, and they're not moving that fast. Because it's daytime, light is not an issue, so ISO is not that important. As a result, I don't need to use a tripod. I focus my lens on the flowers because they're the subject of my picture, and they need to be in sharp focus. But because I chose f/22, my background is still in focus because of the setting. I choose to shoot 2 stops lower than what the camera is telling me good exposure is. I do this because the camera loves to make pictures overexposed. Shooting a bit darker gives me deep color in my picture and makes sure my skies are not overexposed. Even though it's daytime, I'm using a flash in this photo. I'm using a -32 setting on the flash to make sure the flowers in the foreground are not too dark. I need that because I'm shooting darker than what the camera is telling me. Artistically, I'm using color of the flowers to draw your attention to them. Once again, I'm using the rule of thirds. Compositionally, I'm using the lines of the trees and the hills to point to the saddle on top of the mountain. I use it as a way to lead your eye through the picture. So as you can see, in each picture, there's way more going on than just pulling out your camera and snapping a picture. There's way more than just hoping you get a good shot. To take a good photo, there's a lot of thought and techniques being used to get it. That is why professional photographers generally take better pictures than those who put no thought into their pictures and know nothing about the camera. What I like about the stacking concept is that it begins with what do you want to capture. Then you just pull out the right tools to accomplish the job. You do not hope you get a good picture, you just take a good picture. It makes everything you do intentional. As someone who's been at this a long time, what I would suggest is keep learning everything there is to know about photography. Keep mastering all the photography techniques until you can consistently do them with very little thought. Above all else, make sure that you master the principles of art. Because if you don't, even if you know a lot about the camera, your photos will always be lacking. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have fun and keep shooting.